If we are what we eat, Americans are in deep, deep trouble. Here, Schmoopsie, here, have a little treat. American agribusiness and the food industry keep telling us how lucky we are to have such cheap, safe, wholesome food in abundance. But we know down deep that Americans have a serious eating disorder. For one thing, look how fat we're getting. These charts from the Centers for Disease Control show how much weight we've gained over the past 20 years, state by state. Blue is good, light blue is best. Light blue means only 10% of that state's people are clinically obese. By the time you get into the red zone, 1 out of every 4 adults in that state qualifies as obese. No wonder Americans spent $46 billion on dieting last year. And 170,000 of us had bariatric surgery. Geez, Schmoops, you must be packing on the pounds. One reason we're rounder than ever is that our food is loaded with high fructose corn syrup. Farmers spend $3 a bushel to raise $2 a bushel corn, so our farm policy promotes turning surplus corn into sweeteners, the nutritional equivalent of crack. For many kids, sticky sweet corn syrup constitutes 20% of the calories they consume each day. Columnist Dave Barry once wrote that humans really want to eat nothing but sugar, salt, and fat. The problem is that now describes many people's daily diets. Warning, warning, put down your sandwich. Here's where we look at factory farms. I'll move quickly so you don't get sick. Millions of cows, pigs, and chickens spend their lives in these animal dungeons that make puppy mills look humane. Imagine mama pigs spending their entire lives in these crates. This is progress? But at least we have fresh fruits and vegetables in the winter now, and that's good news for our nutrition, right? Well, before you bite into that juicy Chilean strawberry, remember our free trade agreements don't allow any environmental or labor protections. We can't even ban grapes that are sprayed with pesticides like DDT. And workers in Central and South America who pick those grapes face violence if they try to organize. No wonder our domestic growers find it hard to compete. And think of the fuel it takes to get those strawberries to you in the dead of winter. Another worry is that we're losing some of our best farmland to erosion and suburban sprawl. Today's farming practices mean our topsoil is blowing away 10 times faster than we can replenish it. Development chews up another 1 million acres a year, a landmass the size of the state of Indiana. Can we do better? We must. Many experts now believe our current system is simply unsustainable. One promising solution is community-supported agriculture. Adapted from Japan, CSA is a system where people pay local growers up front and share the risk. In return, they get a supply of locally grown produce throughout the growing season. At Michigan State University's Student Organic Farm, members must also contribute time. As the farm's founder, Dr. John Biernbaum, says, reconnecting people to the land and educating them about farming is part of the process.
One of the most exciting things about the community-supported agriculture, or CSA, is that almost every farm's model is just slightly different. So there are many variations on the theme. A key part of it is connecting people to their food, their farmer, and the land where it is produced. Our members are paying approximately $28 a week, and they come out, as you said, and they actually get to pick their produce out of large boxes of stuff where we say, okay, this week you get some of this and some of that, and they have a chance to exchange or trade or work things out.
The MSU farm not only provides local people fresh, wholesome, organic food, but it offers teaching and research opportunities. Planning for the farm began in 1999, and their first food distribution occurred in 2003. Like all CSAs, the Student Organic Farm faces challenges in building a sustainable economic model.
What's making this work is partly, we started with grant funding, and that was our goal, was to become more self-sustaining. And so the first line of income, shall we say, that we developed was the CSA, and so that our members are helping. All that money goes towards primarily labor for both the farm manager and the students. We would like to be able to do more tours, but we don't really have a system where we can charge for that. We're looking at more where we would have volunteers that would give the tours. But agritourism the farm that is also a bed and breakfast. That, again, you have a more diversified form of income, but you're also helping people to understand the difficulties of farming and the time and effort and relating, and so people become, I think, would become more sensitive to farm policy and supporting farmers.
Most small-scale farmers, particularly beginners, sell through farm stands and farmers markets.
The consumer gets to ask the grower how you grew things, what varieties it are, when it was picked, how fresh it is, if there was any chemicals sprayed on it. So they get knowledge of what they are buying, first-hand knowledge.
Farmers markets in urban areas are booming, including those in neighborhoods with modest incomes. It can be difficult to keep prices low and still provide a fair price to the grower. Many city markets now allow people to use their food stamps to buy food. Biernbaum's innovative research on unheated greenhouses can benefit both commercial growers and backyard farmers by extending the growing season year-round.
We're also working with funding from MSU to develop an online course that would be how to do the passive solar greenhouse. And it'll be a one-credit course that people could take for credit, but they'll also be able to take it not for credit. And we've been putting a lot of time into it, but people can, the first half is all about building the greenhouses and what would you do and how would you do it, and the second half is all about growing the crops. Because this technique isn't only for farmers, people can do this in their backyard. I have one of these greenhouses in my backyard, and we have fresh produce all winter long. My parents are in their early 70s, and together with my brothers and sisters, we gave them a 26 by 24 greenhouse for Christmas, and I went in June and helped build it. And so I talked to them the other day. They're in New Jersey, and they're eating lots of tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers out of it, and they're getting ready to plant the winter crops now. But they're also staying active, which was one of the key reasons, getting them outside and getting them doing things in a somewhat protected environment. But they'll be able to grow stuff year-round.
The MSU farm has added a small poultry operation, and this is their first year with bees, though they had a little problem with their first extraction.
Everything went well until we took a lunch break, and when we came back, we left the doors open and all the bees got in and made a mess out of everything that wasn't covered.
I'm an optimist, and I think that the small-scale farm could provide almost everything. But I also like olive oil, and I like citrus fruit, and I like things. Could I eat local and seasonal? Most definitely. And I think those are ideas that we've been called to understand more. The whole idea of eating seasonally, that we don't have to have tomatoes every week of the year. Not that we can't, but when we look at the energy cost, the economic cost, the health issues, and if we just look at the diversity of, looking forward to tomatoes in the summertime. I mean, it's a treat. And if you get into thinking that mode more, looking forward to that watermelon, looking forward to those grapes that are going to come. And in the wintertime, being comfortable with kale and chard and spinach and leafy greens that do really well in the cold, and potatoes from storage and winter squash. I mean, clearly people did this for hundreds and thousands of years, so we're not asking anything, unreasonable. It's just being more thoughtful, being more respectful, being more integral, looking at the whole situation, not overemphasizing global, which we kind of swung into this whole global market thing, and it's a global food place, and yes, it is, but it's also local, it's regional, it's national, global. We need a diverse system that thinks about how all these things fit together.